Hey there, Nocturnes! Welcome back to another episode of Surviving College. This time I've just decided to feed that playlist which I've left unfilled for, if that's a word, for quite some time because I was busy with Unplugged. So for now, I'm letting Unplugged rest. And for today's episode, it's going to be spontaneous because lately, I've been thinking about sharing with you one experience of a professor whose type anyone rarely mentions. I think you've heard of the terror profs who give low grades, profs who give that vibe of strictness that any student would find hard to bear. And there are the terror prof who marks students late, if it's even just 1 second, exceeding the start time of the class, and other horror stories that have been so common they've just become cliche for most college students. But there's actually this particular behavior which I've encountered in my master's class. Now, I may be coming from a master's class context, but I bet he's also a professor that can be encountered in the undergraduate level. That's why I've decided to feature him. Well, rather the behavior, not really the person, because I'm not really attacking the person. Just a disclaimer, nor am I naming the person, but just the archetype of that professor, which I believe every college or university student should be aware of. Why should you be aware of this type? Because if you know or read his or her rather, behavior, then the higher the chances you'll pass whichever course you're taking under him or her. So stay with me until the end to know what this particular prof I'm talking about. Alright, we have what I call the narcissistic professor. He's not strict, he's also not the kindest professor in the world, but he does, exhibit much happiness when students excel. And he's very encouraging. I give him that. Very encouraging. Like, for example, when we were done with our final project, we designed an application. He encouraged all of us to take it to the next level, coordinate with certain companies who can actually buy the product and use it, prepare business presentations, and so on. That I give him my salutation. But when it comes to his way of assessing student knowledge, that I question. You know why? Alright, I think his way of assessing students is based on how well students can match their brains, their thinking with his. And why did I get that impression? Let me give you one example. His assessments or tests are open notes. The individual papers we submit to him are open notes. No need to memorize anything religiously. Unlike in the past, during face-to-face classes, you really had to prepare a stock of well-defined terms in your head before class starts because we would never know, you might be quizzed on them on the spot. But right now, one accommodation most schools, I think, are giving students is open notes. Even though it's already open notes, you might be confused. Why is it still hard to get a perfect score from him? Considering again that it's open notes, obviously you just have to copy whatever's written on the material to answer a particular question. But of course, you have to paraphrase. And if you want a video on paraphrasing, you may check the suggested video above if you want a walkthrough on that. But anyway, that's what I've been doing. And I thought it would be easy to get a perfect score because I thought that I would be giving the right answers because I was reading the right material anyway. And I believed I was understanding the material the way it's supposed to be understood. But his way of grading is like this, and he mentions that explicitly on his instructions. He mentions there that will be graded. Okay, so here's the mechanics of the individual paper assignments. He gives you a table to fill out, and you're instructed to select 3 passages that would answer his question. And you will be graded based on your selection. That is what I'm actually questioning. That criterion, you will be graded based on your selection and explanation. So no matter how good your explanation is, if your selection doesn't cut it, then you will be disqualified from getting a perfect score. So that's what gave me the impression that I had to try my best to match my organization of info with his. What I found confusing was even if I pointed out valid points from the material, because they're all passages from his assigned reading anyway, I was confused why he did not credit them, even if my explanation, well, as far as I believed, justified the passages that I selected. Still, I got questions from him, comments like, "What does this mean?" Or "This should echo this point. This should emphasize this part of the reading." When I know that it's related to the question that he posed, and I believed it answered the question, but it didn't exactly match his expected answer from us. I just took it as narcissistic because during discussions he enjoyed questioning us on the material, and when he questions us, he never asks for our own perspective, and if he does ask for what we think, he already had an expected answer in the back of his mind. If what you say did not match what he expected, then you're in for it. You're going to be grilled. He's not going to say it's wrong, in fairness to him. He's polite, yeah, narcissistic. So I think part of his narcissism is projecting the image of a professor who's polite and at the same time very precise with regard to the way he believes information should be understood, and he indirectly invalidates. Yes, I think his invalidation is indirect. Though he's not explicit with saying you're wrong, but he implies that you're wrong just by saying the exact words that he expected you to say when you try to answer his question. But even if it's valid, he would undermine the value of your answer by stating it using the vocabulary he preferred. And even if you gave a unique valid point, he will, like what I said, make it less important than the expected answer he wished he got from you. How does that awareness help me? He gave us a makeup paperwork. I did comply, and when I tried to read his thoughts, what I believed he thought would consider important from the reading that he assigned, okay, for the makeup exam, it's actually a removal exam. An assignment that we had to accomplish if we wanted to increase our grades on papers that were marked with low grades. I complied, and fortunately I got the highest mark for the first time. And my strategy was to match my understanding with what he thought was important in the reading. So beware of professors like that. If you're going to take an open book or notes, exam, quiz, whatever, you have to know or read or predict what your professor values in that material, what he believes should be emphasized, and not what you think, what you value. There are professors who are like that. They don't they don't care about what students personally think, because in university you're nothing technically without any citations, without any framework created by previous thinkers. Now, if you're able to do that, then you'll be able to persuade these types of professors who rely solely on frameworks like him. So what do you say? Have you encountered this type of professor? Let me know through the comments below. And if you think this will help your friends who are in college, masters, whichever level, then feel free to share this one to continue the conversation. Feel free to suggest other topics too about surviving college, which you badly need, especially since in the Philippines, school is about to start in a number of months, or maybe for others, weeks, probably others tomorrow. So continue surviving in the dark till the next episode.